And I'm starting the live stream, just letting everyone know. Councilman Rami Rice. Councilman Bergen.
Here.
Councilman Organ.
Here.
Councilman Kaplan.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Katz. Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 265-2021, sending a copy to the newspaper's official designated for 2022 by way of resolution number 4-2022, filing a copy in the Township Clerk's office and posting it on the Municipal Building Bulletin Board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Tonight, we have present at our meeting, Dean Kaczynski, our Township Manager, Doug Roussillon, Township Clerk, Ron Goodman, making sure we look beautiful on the Volunteer Cable Casting Network, Clarence Barnes, keeping everything clean, and we hear he's working very hard at working at the chamber, cleaning that up for us, and John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen, and Carvelli. The council did not meet prior to this meeting in closed session, and we have two brief announcements, one a very happy one. There will be a plaque dedication to Dr. Ken Hoffman this coming Sunday, March 13th, 2022 at 2 p.m. at the Votee Sportsplex, where we will rename the soccer field at the Sportsplex in his name. So please join us Sunday the 13th at 2 p.m. for that event. Should be very nice. And the next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, March 15th at 7 p.m. So with that, and before we get into the budget, we will open it up for public good and welfare on any input or any matters they wish to discuss. Doug?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And also, I just want to remind everyone we're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, because we are high tech here in the township. And again, as the mayor so eloquently said, this is our good and welfare portion to speak on any matters on your mind. You have 3 minutes allotted. After your 3 minutes, I will have to cut you off, and you can feel free to email me, Doug, your township clerk, at clerk@tnecnj.gov. And I will be sure to copy and paste your comments verbatim into the minutes. I see Mr. James Veach. I'm pulling up my timer. I'm pulling up my timer, Mr. Veach. Please accept the invitation to speak, Mr. Veach, whenever it pops up on your screen. Mr. Veach, you are free to unmute.
All right. Mr. Clerk, thank you very much.
No problem, 3 minutes.
I'll be succinct. I understand we're going to have budget presentation tonight from the manager, and also we're going to hear from the department heads. And I would hope that the manager and or the department head, Mr. Romeo, address the following questions with respect to trees planted in public spaces. And my question is, how much money will the township spend replacing the 300 or so trees that we on average cut down every year in Teaneck? And how will that number be adjusted for the clear cutting of Penn Avenue? I understand, I've heard rumors that we spent $190,000 paying private contractors to clear cut every tree on Penn Avenue. And to grind all the stumps. And I've heard that exhausts our budget to plant any additional trees. We also I've heard loose talk about replacing the trees on Penn Avenue that were cut down with other trees. So I'd like to have a number. How much are we going to spend to replace trees that we're losing in Teaneck? And also, how did the clear cutting on Penn Avenue affect that budget figure? I would also like that that the manager or Mr. Romeo also address whether or if we are hiring a certified professional arborist. It is my understanding that we do not have an arborist. We may have guys who can hang off a bucket truck and chop down trees. We do not have a certified professional arborist, and we haven't had one for many years. So my question is the hiring of that person in the budget? And finally, as part of the PSE&G diversion project, the council has identified 3 locations, 611 Romer and 1603 Ardsley, and another location to be added to our parks, 3.5 acres. And I would like to know, where in the budget have you set aside money for dealing with these undeveloped areas? And is there anything in the budget to deal with a complaint that I heard from a resident on January the 4th, who claimed that his daughter contracted Lyme disease in a public park here in Teaneck? I don't know if that's been addressed by the council already, but is that something that's going to be factored into your budget calculations? So those are my questions, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am now bringing in Alan Sohn. Thank you, Mr. Veach.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, 3 minutes.
I did not coordinate with Mr. Veach, but again, I too and many residents have heard about the destruction of nearly 60 trees on Penn Avenue, which were butchered at a cost to taxpayers of more than $100,000, about $1,900 per tree. The trees weren't the victims of disease or a hurricane or wind or of a runaway truck. They were the victims of malign neglect. Budgets are about priorities, and trees are not one of those. For decades, this council has systematically shortchanged the money needed to properly maintain our trees, preferring to allow them to fall into disrepair, endangering residents, their property, and costing more to remove them than to care for them in the first place. This council and its members have similarly malignly neglected the municipal building, the Rhoda Center, the Voti Park pool, more than 100 miles of roads, decades-old fire trucks, and more, until shamed into dealing with the problems at far greater cost. Of all the cynical budgetary con games of recent years, we know all about the gamesmanship of terminal leave payments and the abuse of debt, which is soaring in the township as it has declined in the Board of Education, and as interest rates are set to double, triple, or quadruple on debt that is not long-term. Even worse is that the current budget is largely addressed by cutting the number of police and fire employees to some of the lowest numbers in decades. The biggest percentage increase in this budget, based on November's departmental budget hearings, will be in the legal budget. In addition to the unwarranted increase in his rate and dumping Oprah issues from the legal retainer in years past, John Shadanian was given an extra $100,000 for 2 unspecified legal matters. As big as this legal increase will be or might be, it seems hard to believe that it will be enough. The repeated efforts by the mayor and council to shamelessly suppress the First Amendment rights of residents is going to cost the township and its taxpayers. Mr. Shadanian has lost case after case after case and enriched himself at taxpayer expense. But this censorship issue is created by the council and is its own fault. Despite the claims from the mayor to the contrary, the reality is clear that Mr. Dunleavy has discriminated based on the speaker and the content. A reminder, you're not volunteers. Mr. Katz receives about $40,000 in salary and benefits, plus, $50,000 to $100,000 for the value of a street that has been handed to him for his exclusive use of his restaurant tenants. Every one of you is paid for your role on council. As Ms. Baker has stated, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Don't submit falsified election reports or take payoffs in exchange for contracts, as was done by Pagan, Organ, and Schwartz.
Thank you, sir. The 3 minutes was up. You have my email. You are welcome to send me an email. I will copy and paste your comments verbatim into the minutes. I am now bringing in Chuck Powers. Whenever you are ready, sir, you are free to unmute.
Good evening. I'm confused about why this meeting is occurring on the 10th of March rather than on the 3rd. Originally, you folks had approved a schedule which would have had the first of these budget meetings on last Thursday. And I'm trying to figure out, on the basis of the discussion I actually heard that occurred, I'm sure you were not aware of, that I was listening, because everyone was who had joined this meeting was able to. Apparently, the council has not yet seen the budget book from the manager. So we're going to see tonight I assume a present. Well, Mr. Khan, thank you very much. You just received that a few minutes ago. Thank you very much. And so therefore, we are beginning on the 10th of March to try to figure out how the 2022 budget is going to all come together. And I assume that the manager will give an effective PowerPoint presentation tonight. I'm interested in knowing 2 things. One, when is it that the public can see the budget book that the council has just received? And when will we see the PowerPoint itself? Will it be on the website? And secondly, what is the planned schedule now, so that this year, as compared to the last 2 years, we will actually know what the individual departmental pieces of this budget will be? It is very important that we begin to understand exactly what Mr. Sohn just suggested. There are no question but what we are seeing major reductions in our public safety personnel and in the DPW. We need to understand why and how that is happening, and why the services that we are going to get will be adequate in light of the fact that those issues are being addressed. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear much more in terms of specificity about all of those questions as this evening proceeds. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Mayor, at this time, I don't see any other hands.
Okay, so we'll close good and welfare for this evening. I'm going to ask if any member of council wishes to make a comment. Then I'll also ask Dean. Well, let me just ask Dean here now. If Dean, do you want to comment on those questions here, or do you want to do that during your presentation?
Oh, they're certainly part of my budget presentation tonight. Again, keep in mind, a week from tonight, we have 4 or 5 departments that will be speaking specifically on their departmental budgets. That's next Thursday, the following Thursday. You know, monies for trees is in there, $160,000 for tree maintenance. There is roughly $75,000 in the budget for tree plantings. Everyone should not panic. Everything is okay. The AFS was due to the state on March 5th. So again, we're not behind in our budget presentation. Everything is in line with the local finance board. So, you know, again, we're conducting our budget process the way we should, and there's no need for panic or alarm.
And Dean, just as I recall, you mentioned that the people on Penn Avenue were deathly afraid of those trees over a long period of time. We saw that they were a type of tree that probably shouldn't have been planted in that area, I believe, obviously many, many years ago. And that when they were cut down, I believe many of them were already seriously diseased and could have fallen on houses.
Again, that's correct. We did not take any action before speaking to all the residents. They came to us for tree removal. We sent letters out to every resident on Penn Avenue. Every resident on Penn Avenue wanted the trees taken down, you know, so we did it. Again, I would say speak to the residents on Penn Avenue that had their houses demolished because these 70, 80, 90-foot trees came down. I'm not going to risk their life or serious damage to their property by keeping them up. We spoke with them, we did the responsible thing, sent letters to them, coordinated everything with them, and we got a very, very good price on removal. It's not $190,000,
No.
nowhere near that.
And I recall going over there to talk with residents and noticed when the trees were down, many of them were hollowed out. They were just looking for another storm to come down on somebody else's house. So I think that was a
Yeah,
prudent-
we'll work with the residents come the fall on tree planting. We'll pick out the right species that should be there. Any cement work that needs to be done will be done in the spring. So again, no worries, no need for alarm.
All right, anybody on council have any comments they want to make?
I'd like to say a couple words, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it quick.
Go ahead.
Just because, it's very hard when misinformation and disinformation is brought up. Just for the benefit of the public, when bonding is spoken about every year, the township is required, and we do submit. This is a report from our CFO. It's done under oath, and it's done in a manner that allows different towns to be compared to each other. TNEC is the blue line on this graph, and this goes from 2010 through to present. This speaks to the amount of bonding potential we have. Generally, towns are between 0 and 3% of the valuation of their town. You can see where we are compared to the towns around us: Englewood, Bergenfield, Pagoda, Hackensack, New Milford. And again, this is based on the valuation of the town, so it can be compared across New Jersey. And thankfully, we have a manager and departments that are very fiscally responsible. And, perhaps when you hear some of the comments, it's very difficult for the public to quite understand what's going on. But these are the actual reports. I've posted them. I'm happy to share the link to anybody. And again, these are on the state website. This is not, anything that's hidden that can't be easily found. So anybody who, feels like finding this information, I'm more than happy to show you where to send it. And again, about the Penn Ave trees, the mayor said it very well. I spoke to people on the block. I have not heard a complaint from a single individual on that block. In fact, those people are quite happy that the town is being proactive in ensuring their safety, and they certainly did not want the trees to come down, but they understood that they had to, and it was a necessity. So I want to thank the manager again for the diligence and forthright approach he took, and I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Councilman Kaplan. The only other person I did not ask, I'm sorry, is Township Attorney. Did you have something? Did you want to make a comment before we move forward?
No,
I wanted
I don't think there's any legal issues that were raised. Some erroneous statements, but nothing that involves legal issues.
Okay, very good.
Mayor?
Did I see another? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, so 2 comments if I may. First, I do want to apologize to everyone on tonight. I do have to hang up shortly ahead of an 8 p.m. Planning board meeting. This time of year, the planning board and council meetings generally conflict, so I do apologize. Secondly, I'd like to just say thank you to all the department heads that are on the call. Contrary to anything they may hear from the public or they already heard tonight for the public, we appreciate all your hard work. Your hard work goes noticed. Your hard work in working with our budgets and keeping what, as Councilman Kaplan said, those bonding levels down, as doing more with less. This was something that was a former Councilman Alan Stone always mentioned prior, around 2012-13. So I do appreciate everyone rising to that. We thank you, contrary to what you may hear. This is a great town. People want to live in this town. I want to live in this town, and a lot of it's due to your hard work. So thank you very much. And if I don't speak later, have a good night.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All right, I think with that then, Dean, I'll
Sure.
turn it over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Mayor. So we have department heads that are present tonight, just to say a little bit about themselves and their department. They're going to keep it short so I can move forward with my presentation. Tax assessor, James Ty is not here this evening, but he provided me something to read to the public as well that you'll find very useful. But I will start out with Glenna Crockett, our superintendent of Recreation. Doug, if you can let Ms. Crockett in.
Absolutely. She's the only one on the attendee list with her name in all caps. And I have to
Nice.
say that really describes Queen Crockett very well. Glenna, you have 3 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have 3 minutes. You might have less, actually.
How about that?
Good.
Oh,
Am I good now?
Hi, Glenn.
Very good.
Yes.
Oh, good evening, all. The Recreation Department has 4 main focus areas. We manage over 51,000 square feet in the community center 7 days a week. We offer classes, activities, and special events within our 3 divisions. We offer individual education, fitness, art, and dance classes in the Rhoda Center, outdoors and virtually. We also offer a state license after school, state license full day preschool, state license camp programs, and social activities for ages 8 months to over 90 years old, many at a nominal fee or no fee at all, and a myriad of special events. Our July 4th community celebration, our movies in the park, community band concert series. We collaborate on TNAC Day. We also operate the summer swimming pool, sprinklers, and splash pad. We also provide transportation to senior and disabled residents. We have 2 to 3 vans on the road 5 days a week, transporting residents one way or round trip to medical appointments, food shopping, miscellaneous errands, plus mall shopping. We provide individual rides to over 1,500 residents throughout the year. Facility reservations. For 2021, we issued approximately 120 field and picnic permits for outdoor facilities, down from our usual 300 permits due to COVID-19. We scheduled over 485 reservations to over 37 users at the Rhoda Center, down from the 1,500 reservations to approximately 100 users. In 2021, we facilitated flu clinics, blood pressure, and health consultations for our seniors through the health department. We're the site for Holy Name Medical Center's COVID-19 vaccinations, and we're one of 9 sites in the county for early voting. The department has a complement of 13 full-time, 60 part-time permanent, and over 125 seasonal employees. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Glenna.
Glenna.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thanks so much, Glenna. Next, I want to introduce Simona Cassian-Serbu, the Township's purchasing agent. Simona?
bringing her in, give it a minute. Whenever you're ready, Simona, you can unmute. Hello. Oh, the audio's connecting right now.
If you
You can unmute whenever, Simona.
All right, so what we'll do, Doug, we'll let Simona have an opportunity in a few minutes to reconnect. Let me go to Farah Galani, the Township Engineer.
Bringing her in also. When you're promoted to panelist, you have to like accept an invitation from the host. And sometimes I think like the screen disappears if someone doesn't click it too quick. So sometimes that happens. Farah, please unmute whenever you can.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Hey, Farah.
Hi. So this is Farah Gilani, Township Engineer. My department provide engineering services for township infrastructure system. Infrastructure include storm drain system, sanitary sewer, building, grounds, parks, roadway system, traffic signal, and various services required for public work. The department prepares capital improvement program as they relate to preparation of the capital budget and implementation, engineering design, and construction administration for this program. The department reviews residential plan for the TNIC code compliance and ensure that the construction is according to the approved plan and there is no adverse effect on the adjoining properties and public right of way. Township prepare and coordinate federal and state and county grants for opportunities to fund township projects. The engineering department prepare resolution for the township council approval in connection with the construction and services and coordinate contract administration. My department consists of myself and another engineer, David Garwell. We both have over 25 years of experience. And also we have one full-time administrative help, which we share with DPW, and a part-time administrative help. Some of the highlights of last year projects we have my department performed. Design and construction of 2020 roadway resurfacing. All 33 roadways were paved, including full reconstruction of Home Street. Design and construction of Ogden Avenue and Morningside Terrace. This project was funded by NJDOT Municipal Aid Grant. Design and construction of Hickory and Woodbine Street. This project was funded by Bergen County CDBG grant. Altogether, over 5 miles of roadway was paved last year. Design and construction of municipal building parking lot improvement, design and construction of Hawthorne tennis and pickleball courts, design and bidding of Trehune Children's Playground, drainage improvement at Ogden Avenue, design of Felt Park bathroom, design of Woody Park band shell, design of construction of municipal building roof and gutter replacement, design of municipal building windows replacement and front entry door replacement, emergency roadway repair due to Hurricane Ida at Granville Avenue and Ogden Avenue, Phelps and Bannett drainage improvement, and also 2020 projects are as follows. 2022 projects are as follows. Design and construction of 2021 roadway resurfacing, roadway improvement along 33 township streets, about 4 miles of paving, design and construction of Columbus Road improvement, design and construction of Garden Street, design and construction of Woody Park basketball court, complete construction of Trehune Children Playground, construction of Phelps Park restroom, construction of Woody Park band shell, construction of Firehouse Station 4 improvement, construction of municipal building windows replacement, municipal building design and construction of Court Street traffic improvement and parking lot, design and construction of Woody Park tennis court light, splash pad shades, Bell Avenue drainage study, design and construction of Alford Avenue reconstruction, Linden Avenue water main replacement, and Colonial Court water main replacement. That's all for
That's all. That's a lot. That's a lot, Farah. No, thank you. Thank you so much. As you can see, Mayor, there's a lot taking place in town. We're not sitting back. So we're moving forward with a lot of these.
No
projects.
malign neglect.
Yes.
Thank you.
No more.
All right. So Simone, are you able to connect?
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Finally past the technicalities. My name is Simona Castian-Serbu. I have been with the township for going on 11th year and on my 6th year as the purchasing agent. I am also the designated public agency compliance officer for the township of Teaneck and oversee compliance with state affirmative action, contract regulations, New Jersey prevailing wage requirements, New Jersey business registration certification requirements, and pay-to-play regulations. My department is comprised of 2 people, and our main function is to act as an administrative compliance officer in ensuring that all the supplies, materials, and services needed by each of the township's departments are procured in an ethical manner and with due diligence while promoting a fair and competitive procurement process, which is compliant with the purchasing law and guidelines of the state of New Jersey local public contract law. The purchasing department helps develop and reviews bid specifications and RFPs, oversees all public bid openings, and prepares the required resolutions needed as a result of the bid openings, or as needed based on the purchase mechanism used for the procurement of supplies, materials, and services, and forwards to the township attorney for final review and legal input prior to the council's final action. We also support the finance department in monitoring budgets and departmental spending, and serves as accounts payable liaison by ensuring that vendors which have supply services, equipment, and materials are paid promptly and in accordance with the law. As you all know, last year we came before you all hopeful and excited that a new and better year laid ahead, and very eager to forget the challenges that we have faced in 2020 due to COVID-19. Unfortunately, 2021 has not turned to be that way. And we have found ourselves dealing with supply chain issues on all aspects. Products that used to be delivered almost the next day are now hard to come by and take months to be delivered due to all these issues. It seems at times that the tables have turned on us, and that some companies are now selling their products to the highest bidder. Vendors are sometimes opting out of contracts that they have entered into due to price increases and shortage of materials. In 2021, however, the purchasing department has issued purchase orders totaling about $4.5 million, processed close to $3 million in payments, and has processed and issued 16 contracts, public bids or requests for proposals of over $5 million that were publicly advertised in accordance with the requirements of the law. Some of the projects were the highlights of Faragilani. We focused a lot on public safety, and I think 2021 has proven that to majority of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simone. I appreciate your hard work. Next, I have Mark Bacchino, the township's construction official. Just unmute, Mark.
There you go. All right, here I am. I'm going to keep mine short and sweet.
Okay, good.
The building department is responsible for the enforcement of the Uniform Construction Code, the municipal land use law, and the township's zoning ordinances. We execute those duties through the review of development, land use, and construction applications by issuing permits, performing field inspections, and issuing certificates of occupancy. In addition, we respond to emergency scenes to assist the fire and police departments in evaluating the suitability of structures for occupancy. In 2021, the building department issued 997 zoning permits, 2,382 construction permits, and conducted 8,452 construction inspections. We fulfilled 919 Oprah requests for documents, and we archived 33 cartons of records, bringing our total of recorded documents to 558 cartons. These are all big increases over last year. So it looks like the pandemic is starting to make a rebound as far as we're concerned. We had construction revenue of $1,015,892. And after deducting for expenses and incomplete projects that we have to roll over the inspections to 2022, we calculated we operated with a small surplus of about $17,000. And we accomplished this with a decrease in staff from 2020. Talk about doing more with less. I anticipate that some larger projects are going to begin in 2022, and the workload and revenue will increase. With this in mind, we're going to need to increase staff, I believe. So over the course of 2021, we've also been increasing our use of SDL. This includes obtaining iPads that our inspectors use on a daily basis in the field to great benefit. We are also accepting inspection requests and permit submission through the SDL portal, though not many have taken advantage of this feature, but we're hopeful. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Mark. At some point, we'll be doing a public rollout of spatial data, and that time is coming very soon. Next, I have Dr. Gina Miranda Diaz, the Township's Health Officer. Gina?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
And you can see me, okay. Good evening, everybody. This is my first budget review, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. As sweet as it could be. I began this summer. I am a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for almost 4 decades, and I've been a health officer for about 10 years. I've been working in the town since July 1st of 2021, and I jumped in with both feet. We have been confronting the COVID pandemic, and we had not one but 2 surges in the past 6-7 months. Over the summer, I kept children in camp, kept them safe to prevent the spread of this pandemic and this virus throughout the township, not only with the residents of the township of Teaneck, but also for the employees in our township and the folks from the Rhoda Center, the schools, the school district. I availed myself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because this was something that was, the virus doesn't operate from 9 to 5. We collaborate with Holy Name on many things in terms of testing, vaccinations, and contact tracing to, again, prevent the spread of this virus. We kept children in schools and worked closely, Dean and myself, and my staff with and the public health nurse from Holy Name with the Teaneck Board of Education to assure that students were attending school in person safely, and not only students, but staff and faculty and administration. I am one of, I have 9 employees and under my charge. We have 3 registered environmental health specialists. One of them is a chief environmental health specialist, and they're responsible for property maintenance, housing, animal control, animal bites. We also giving out pet licensing. That has begun at the beginning of January, and now we have offering 3-year licensing to folks in the community so they can opt for the 1 or 3-year licensing for their dog. We have answered 483 Oprahs in the past year. And we have now onboarded a full-time social worker who has been working diligently with the addressing the social needs and economic hardships of the community. Thus far, we have provided over $3,000 through the Teaneck Municipal Alliance to residents for rent or PSC&G utility hardships. We have a full-time deputy registrar who just began, and our registrar activities, including marriage licenses, death certificates, birth certificates, and any kinds of changes in those certificates have been going on since I began with very, very little interruption. We have a part-time registered environmental health specialist, registrar, and we are currently working with SDL, a program, the SDL, to be able to fit with our department, and people are able to provide us confidential, if they like, reports on property issues and any other issues that they find in the town that they want to address, and with questions that they have, and we answer them, and we're very responsive. My staff has been very responsive, and we do have folks in charge of the pools, and we have someone who specializes even in noise pollution complaints. So we're able to handle that and keep the town clean environmentally as well. We have a team clean where teenagers are being paid about minimum wage, and they go through the town on Saturday and Sundays. They work throughout the town, cleaning areas that need to be swept and cleaned and maintained free of debris and clutter. And we are working on grants. I am working with the Teaneck Municipal Alliance Against Substance Abuse. And we had just had a program called #Choices, which is a peer program that was led by, of course, a trained individual and instructors to help them make better choices in their lives. We're going to have a project graduation coming up this year. And we're going to be collaborating with Fairleigh Dickinson on their campus with some of those types of issues, because their freshman students are obviously under 21. Mayor's Wellness Program, we're launching again. We're kicking off our Mayor's Wellness Program, and we're going to be joining a gym. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the gym, but the Holy Name, myself and our department will be inviting folks to attend the gym and to weigh in every week. And the last time that this program was held, the town collectively, those persons who participated lost 1,000 pounds. So we're really looking forward to launching this program again. And it's going to probably kick off late April, early May. And we have applied for a grant. And I'm looking over for 2 other grants that I would like us to obtain funding for, to continue not only COVID, managing COVID and vaccines and testing, but also other communicable diseases that haven't been really addressed as much. And sometimes the kids have fallen a little behind. So we want to be able to catch up on other things besides, in addition to COVID, so that we can have a well-rounded, healthy community.
All right, great, Gina. Thank you so much for that information, that helpful information. Next, I have Teaneck Police Chief Glenn O'Reilly.
Sir, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Manager, fellow department heads, and members of the public. I am Glenn M. O'Reilly, Chief of Police. On behalf of the men and women of the Teaneck Police Department, I want to thank you for your time this evening. It is the mission of the Teaneck Police Department to safeguard the lives and property of the people we serve, to reduce the incidence and fear of crime, and to enhance public safety while working with diverse communities to improve their quality of life. We will do so with honor and integrity, while at all times conducting ourselves to the highest ethical standards to maintain public confidence. The Teaneck Police Department is currently authorized for 97 sworn officers, 15 civilian support staff, 2 parking enforcement officers, and 15 auxiliary officers. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are always on duty. In 2021, we continued to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Our officers assisted with the township's vaccination efforts held at the Rota Center, and we handled several large demonstrations throughout the year. I am very proud of all the men and women of the Teaneck Police Department. The budget for the police department was crafted over several months and considers the needs of the department, the level of service our residents expect, and the impact it has on the overall budget of the township. We continually strive to provide the best law enforcement services to the public. Pedestrian safety and hometown security remain top priorities for us. We again are looking to reduce the number of pedestrians struck by motor vehicles through education and enforcement. We will always look for innovative ways to provide our services, and we will continue to work with the community to better understand their needs. This budget will allow us to maximize our efforts towards these goals while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Thank you again, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief. And Doug, can you bring in Deputy Chief Joe Birchtold? He'll be sitting in for Chief Zaretsky this evening.
Yes, bring in the Deputy Chief right now. While we're waiting for the Deputy Chief, Dean, do you want to take Mr. Ty's spot real
See
quick?
if you can bring Trevon Romeo in.
He is entering through the door right now.
All right, we have our Director of Public Works, Trevon Romeo, who did an excellent job, him and his staff this winter season, keeping our roads clean, safe, and cleared. So Trevon, it's all yours.
Good night. Trevon Romeo, Public Works Director. The Public Works Department is divided into 6 subdivisions. We have the Roads Department, which in 2021, we filled 2,370 potholes. We collected 240 units of white good pickup. We also collected 150 tons of metal, 345 units of recycle, freon units. We made 185 signs. We collected 58 tons of recycled electronics. We collected 2,800 tons of garden debris, 23,000 cubic yards of leaves, 1,700 tons of logs. We also collected 200 tons of commingle, 376 tons of mixed paper, 1,200 tons of sanitation, solid waste, 150 tons of paper. We single streamed 2,000 tons of single stream recycling. We also collected 12 tons of cardboard, and we applied 940 tons of road salt from January 2020 to date. We also maintain a parks division. We have 25 parks that we maintain. We cut and collect sanitation from the parks. In the last year, we collected 978 tons of sanitation from the parks. We cut also and maintain 30 lots. We clayed and scarified 200 tons of clay at the ball fields, and we did 25 abatements. The tree division last year, we completed 1,361 work requests. We also removed 348 trees in-house, and we ground 314 stumps. Our sewer division, we responded to 160 sewer calls. We did 2,871 sewer checks. We videoed and televised 10,491 feet of sewer line, and we did 153,000 feet of grease cutting and root removal from our sewer system. The garage division maintain and repair and upkeep 489 township vehicles. Our maintenance division worked really hard last year. We ran phone and data lines for the Rhoda Center to facilitate COVID emergency inoculation. We constructed and installed personal protection devices at all our municipal facilities. We updated COVID protocols. We installed the first electric car charging station at Town Hall, the first in town actually, and repaired and worked on a ball field lighting system. Among other things, I would like to extend thanks to Mr. Dean for his work in providing us with the tools required And we spoke earlier on this year about acquiring a mini milling machine so we could do like potholes and that type of stuff more efficiently. We're looking forward to that. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You guys are doing a great job. Staff is doing a great job, and Trevon is thinking out of the box a little bit and getting us to where we need to be at Public Works. So thank you so much, Trevon. Next, I have Joe, Deputy Chief Birchtold. You able to? There you go, Joe. Okay.
Good evening, Joseph Berchtold, Deputy Chief, Teaneck Fire Department. Council members, manager, residents, thank you for your time and patience tonight. We appreciate all your support. In 2021, the Teaneck Fire Department responded to 3,338 runs or calls of service. Out of that, 82 were structure fires, 427 were assist our Township Volunteer Ambulance Corps. As you know, it was a very trying year. We had multiple structure fires, a major storm in September, and of course, COVID. Some of the highlights I'd like to bring to your attention this past year was we were able to partake in a shared service agreement with Hackensack and Englewood for over $300,000. This allowed us to send all our members to Morristown for rapid intervention training and saving their own training. It was a great benefit to all our members, and it definitely added to their level of protection. Some of the other agreements we had or shared service agreements were that of Bergen and also Bergen County, which allowed us to send our members to both ice and water rescue trainings, which ended up paying a huge dividend on September 1st. On September 1st, we had a huge storm, as all of us might remember. During that time, we responded to 145 calls. 12 of them were water rescues where people actually had to be removed from vehicles, which is kind of unheard of in Teaneck, especially the amount of years I've been here. Luckily, all our training, our boats, and our equipment that we've purchased and allowed for and prepared for in the past, again, paid huge dividends. It allowed us to put people into those boats and equipment and go out and rescue all those stranded motorists. Once Teaneck was settling down during that storm, it also allowed us to share our services with our fellow communities, Englewood, New Milford, and Rochelle Park, which they were all also inundated with water. Our members were literally driving down people's streets in boats. We rescued over 100 people in these different communities. We continue to provide the best and greatest level of service we can to the township. We appreciate all your hard work, and we thank you for all your support. We continue to foster any type of network or partnership with our fellow communities and other agencies that are out there. Anytime we can get any type of additional or necessary funds, again, we try to put them to good use. Rest assured that Teaneck Township residents are very well protected. We have some of the best firefighters on duty 24/7, 365 days of the year. We continue to train very hard, but we're committed to safety. We have an open door policy. We're here for our members, as well as we're here for all the residents. Anytime they need us, they're more than welcome to stop by or give us a call, reach out to us. We can also provide the service of coming to their home to do a home safety checklist and ensure that their home that they're living in is safe. We're finally excited about our Station 4 renovation, which is getting away soon. That'll provide a more modern, cleaner, and safer station for both our members and a better facility for the community as well. We continue to look to foster shared service agreements with the city of Hackensack in regards to dispatching. On average, again, if you call the Teaneck Fire Department, you're speaking with a live firefighter, not some automated system as you might get with Verizon or some of the other agencies out there. And we can generally provide a fire truck to your residents within a roughly 3 minutes. Manager, council, residents, I'd like to thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate all your support and funding. And I'm here to take any questions or comments if you have any. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Deputy Chief. Yes.
And if I could just add, Deputy Chief, if you could convey to the chief our sincerest condolences for the losses that his family has recently experienced, and let him know that all of Teaneck has him in his prayers and thoughts.
I will do that. Thank you. I'm sure you appreciate it very greatly.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joe. Next, I want to bring in our court administrator, Mr. Craig Ferdinand.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Dean, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about the Teaneck Municipal Court. My name is Craig Ferdinand, and this month I begin my 6th year as the Municipal Court Administrator for the Township and my 21st year overall with the New Jersey Judiciary. The executive component of the Teaneck Municipal Court is comprised of our 2 municipal court judges, the court administrator and the deputy court administrator, with support from our 4 full-time clerks. The municipal court is tasked with the resolution of all matters that come before the court filed within our township's boundaries. These include traffic and parking cases, DWI matters, criminal cases involving disorderly and petty disorderly persons offenses, fish and game violations and waste and measures violations, and citizens' complaints. Our court conducts 4 court sessions each week on average. All of our court sessions remain virtually conducted, which, as per the administrative office of the courts, will continue for the foreseeable future and more than likely permanently. However, trials involving consequences of magnitude are permitted to be conducted in person, in addition to some other limited events. We have recently been scheduling a number of matters that are going to be tried in person in the coming months. The court has recently been authorized to accept credit cards for payment. The credit card terminal has been successful. Since we began utilizing that terminal in November, the court has processed over $17,000 in credit card payments. In 2021, as compared to 2020, the court experienced a 26.2% increase in case filings and a 22.6% increase in revenue. Through February of this year, filings are up 18% and revenue is up 13% from the same point last year. If you would like specifics on those actual numbers, please let me know and I would be happy to provide them to you. Thank you again for your time this evening, and that's all I have, Dean.
Thanks, Craig. You and your staff are doing a great job, adapted to the many changes during COVID, and I appreciate your hard work. Next, we have our new library director, Shanae Hun. Shanae, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, good
How are
evening. My name is Shanae Han. I'm the new library director. In 2021, we did a curbside service for 4 months and handled a lot of services over the phone or virtually. In 2021, we added over 7,000 books and 12,000 e-materials. We circulated over 300,000 materials. Our services and usage is slowly going up, even though it's not at the same level as before pandemic. In 2022, I'm focusing on reverting back to in-person programs and resuming existing services and programs and creating new technology services for our residents. Last year, the library hired a full-time technology librarian, and this year we plan to implement new technology initiatives. In this regard, the library budgeted for 10 additional hotspots to circulate so that patrons can borrow the internet from the library. This will help to bridge the digital divide in our community. As part of the library outreach effort, we are printing quarterly newsletters this year. As a result, the supply line is increased to reflect this in the budget. Buckles approved to develop a mobile app this year, and this increased our Buckles bill by 5%, pushing it to almost $70,000. Once this app is implemented, both our digital and physical content can be accessed from one place. Communication with our patrons can be streamlined, and additional app notifications and multi-language interface will be supported. In terms of our budget request, most of the budget lines are similar to last year's. The difference is our collection development strategy has been a little bit changed. So other media budgets for music CD, audiobooks, and DVDs are slightly reduced, and the budget for the e-content is increased due to growing usage and demand for digital content. Also, our cleaning contract is going up 4% this year, and this is slight change in our budget. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Shanae, and it's been a pleasure so far working with you and look forward to great things. Next, we have, gosh, I just saw him a little while ago. He just left here. I have our CFO, Issa Bassi, who, gosh, did a tremendous job helping me out with the budget. And again, unfortunately, we went down to the last couple minutes and caused the delay in the budget books to council, but he put in a tremendous amount of time, and I appreciate his hard work. And Issa, you want to say a few things?
Hi, Dean. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Department heads. My name is Issa Bassi. I'm your Chief Financial Officer. I've been with the Township, hard to believe, for 12 years, beginning my 13th year next month in April. My staff includes 6 full-timers. That's technically 5 full-timers, but 2 in finance, 3 employees in tax, and I do share with the director of HR and deputy manager, or I coordinate with the payroll clerk. The finance department is responsible for effectively maintaining the financial administration of the municipality and overseeing its resources. The chief financial officer supervises the division of finance, division of taxation, and works closely with the division of payroll, as I mentioned. The department also reviews departments' deposits and expenditures on a daily basis, with coordination of the purchasing department, and attempts to remit payments as swiftly as possible to the township's vendors once receipt of goods or satisfactory delivery of services are certified. 2021 was a fairly eventful year for us. Some of our accomplishments included, as Craig Ferdinand mentioned, the court administrator obtaining merchant services, aka credit card processing, for a municipal court, awarding contracts to Bergen Savings Bank and First Commerce Bank for banking services, settling and bonding for the Glen Point tax appeal at a very low interest rate, and securing an ATM machine in Town Hall through Bergen Savings Bank. Our goals for this coming year include, firstly, completing the transition to our new banking institutions, which I hope will happen in the next few weeks. Number 2, transitioning to a paperless or app-based time and attendance record keeping, as I am the keeper of time and attendance for us, which also is a computation in the audit. And finally, and not limited to, continuing to recoup funds from weather-related incidents such as Hurricane Isaias and Tropical Storm Ida. I'd like to just say thank you to the manager. It's always a pleasure working with you on the budget, and the department heads. I thank everyone for their patience and cooperation as I was locked away this week, working with Dean to get everything together. I just want to let council know I'm not going to steal Dean's thunder, but I want to reiterate that this was a labor of love. This is not something I take personally. I understand the council, has goals. Just know that, Dean and I'll leave the rest to him, are putting forth a responsible budget this evening with our services being maintained, if not increased. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Issa. And I just want to bring up, Lisa mentioned the audit, and, again, the last several years, and council knows this, we've had few, if any, findings by our auditor. So again, you're in good hands with Issa with regards to our finances. Next, I want to bring in Attorney Extraordinaire, Mr. John Shadanian.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council, fellow department heads, and members of the public. The legal department, which I've now been the head of for the last 5 years, oversees all the legal issues that affect the Township of Teaneck, including counseling on a day-to-day basis, the manager's office, the clerk's office, the council, and all the department heads. We prepare ordinances and resolutions for meetings and for discussion. We oversee all the litigation in the town, including the Title 59, which are the personal injury, slip and fall type cases. the tax appeals and other forms of litigation. And in that regard, I commend the team that we have put together at my firm, which includes Bill Rupp, Reggie Jenkins, Valentina Sirica, and others who handle all these various areas. That we have an expert that covers basically every area of municipal law at the firm, and we provide the full service to the town. But we also oversee our outside counsel as well when it's necessary to hire an outside counsel, whether it's for any kind of an internal investigation or for any kind of litigation that we can't handle. We look forward to continuing to represent the town and helping to reduce and save the township hundreds of thousands of dollars on the legal budget, as we have since we began as the township attorney. It's been our pleasure and privilege to represent the town, and we look forward to continuing to do so. And I thank everybody for their time tonight.
Thank you so much, John. And John and I speak very regularly, sometimes daily, and been a big help to me, to my office. So I appreciate your hard work to me and the town. Next is our township clerk, Doug Roussillon. Doug, say a few words, please.
I give myself 3 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Dean, our township manager, our township attorney, and all of our fellow department heads, members of the public, Teaneck residents. Before I begin, I just want to say the past 2 years, as we all know, has been extremely trying for everybody in all fields of professionalism and any industry. And I need to say, as I do every year, that working with my fellow department heads and my fellow coworkers here at the town hall really does make sometimes a seemingly difficult job way easier. We have a tremendous team here at the municipal building, and working with everyone here has been one of the most fruitful and enriching experiences of my life. And I couldn't be more honored to work with this team to help provide top quality services to our residents here in Teaneck. And like the township manager said, my name is Doug Roussillon. I am your township clerk. And we man the township clerk's office, me and 2 other great coworkers, Miss Kristen DeNorcha, our deputy clerk, and John McCallum, one of our keyboarding clerks, both of which are Teaneck residents, which we pride ourselves in, that we can also employ some of our neighbors in our building. Some of the things that we handle, as everybody knows, is all kinds of licenses and permits, namely liquor licenses. Of course, our bread and butter is indeed handling Oprah requests. And I want to let everyone know that the township clerk's office in Teaneck received 1,461 Oprah requests last year. And we actually completed 1,447 Oprah requests last year. So needless to say, Oprah keeps us just a little busy. We also help keep our council organized. We keep your minutes, your agendas. We help run your meetings. Moving everything over to Zoom has definitely been an interesting experience, if I had to just grasp that one adjective. And also what we have been working on with council in recent years is reorganizing our advisory boards. And I have to say that has also been an enriching experience, because it gets me close with many of our residents in the community. And our advisory boards have been working very productively on Zoom, eager to get back into person, as we all are. And of course, also one of our main duties is running all the elections in the township, which keeps us very busy. Although elections in Teaneck was happening 3 times a year, most other places 2 times a year, elections is something that you have to keep a thumb on almost every day out of the year when you're in a busy place like Teaneck. So that keeps us very busy. And also what I have learned to really enjoy about this job is that we help facilitate countless events here in the township, all the way from Teaneck Day to some of the street renamings that we do throughout the township. Also a very enriching experience, getting us closer with the constituency, something that I appreciate very much. When I first came to the clerk's office many years ago, it was described to me as the first stop in the township, as the landing pad of the township. When you come to the town hall, if you don't know where you're going, you come to the clerk's office and we'll point you in the right direction. And that's something that we take very seriously. We want people to come into the town hall, see a happy face. And of course, when time permits, I also act as the part-time township DJ whenever I could find time away from the office. And 2 of the big things that we've been doing the past year and looking to dive into further this year is getting things more virtual, getting rid of paper. We've been gung-ho on SDL for the last few months and are excited to start sharing this wealth with the public. And also our advisory boards, like I mentioned, they've been very active in recent years, And we're trying to reserve just a few more dollars for them so they could easily host some of their events, do some of their outreach initiatives, such as the Youth Advisory Board this past year. We helped them secure really cool t-shirts at a township event that they were handing out to different residents, really cool t-shirts. And, we have trainings that a lot of our volunteers are eligible to go to, which help them, polish their area of expertise on their advisory board. So that's something that we want to encourage our volunteers to do more. And really, honestly, heading into the new year, just excited to be with the team that we have, excited to be with this administration, with our co-workers. I'm looking forward to another very exciting and busy year here in Teaneck.
All right, thanks, Doug. Please share some of that energy with me. And so before I begin the PowerPoint presentation, I just want to read, I asked the assessor, he's away out of state, just to write something up quickly, which he did. It's 3 paragraphs, take me about 2 minutes, and I think it's important information for the public and council to hear. The Teaneck Assessor's Office is currently staffed by 2 persons, the tax assessor and an assessing aide. The assessor's position is statutory and required state certification, as well as periodic recertification. James Ty has been the assessor for the Township of Teaneck since 1998. He holds a current tax assessor certification for the state of New Jersey, in addition to a current state certified general real estate appraiser certification. The assessor's office also employs the services of outside contractors for inspections on an as-need basis. The primary responsibility of the assessor's office is the listing and assessment of all properties within the township so that the tax burden can be equitably distributed. The annual tax list is prepared for each calendar year, and that year's billings are based on the assessed values contained therein. In order to produce the annual list, the office must review and process each deed filed at the county clerk's office for the sale or transfer of property. In 2021, approximately 875 deeds were recorded and sent for review and processing by the Teaneck Assessor's Office. In addition to the regular tax list, the Assessor's Office produces an annual added assessments to reflect the value of any new construction, renovations, additions that were completed after certification of the primary tax list. In order to complete the added assessment list, all construction permits issued by the building department are reviewed to determine if the permitted work will result in value changes. Building plans, site plans, and when necessary, on-site inspections are used to determine the extent of work done. When complete, a value is estimated by the assessor and the amount is entered onto the added assessment list, and this is done for billing within the 4th quarter tax collection period. In 2021, 310 added assessments were levied with a gross assessed value of $43,236,200. The net value of these assessments was $32,151,142, which resulted in additional taxes of over $1 million billed for 2021. And let's see, the assessor's office must also review and respond to all assessment appeals filed at the Bergen County Board of Taxation and with the State Tax Court of New Jersey. In 2021, 103 appeals were filed with Bergen County Bureau of Taxation and 54 were filed with the STC. So good information from Mr. Ty. And again, the 4th quarter added assessments it resulted in additional taxes of over $1 million, which wasn't bad. So we are at the point of the budget presentation.
Can you see it, Dean?
Doug, yes, Doug.
You can see it good on the screen right now?
Yes.
Cool.
So this is the Township Manager's proposed 2022 municipal budget prepared by myself and the CFO, Mr. Isa Abbasi. Next slide, Doug. So the proposed 2022 municipal budget, it's a preparation process. It's a timely process. Back in, I guess it was August, we sent a letter to all the department heads asking them to start preparing their operational budgets. The department heads had a timeline. They submitted their budgets to us in September of 2021. Once those budgets were received, a review of the individual operations budgets was conducted by myself and the CFO, and that was done in October of 2021. Then in November of 2021, statutorily, we have to conduct public hearings in all department operation budgets. That was done the second week in November. From there, there's public input at council meetings, and that took place on February 8th and February 22nd. From there, the manager, CFO, and the auditor conducted our internal review and the finalization of the budget. We spent a lot of time on that. Our auditor was a big help as well. And that brings us to tonight's budget presentation, the council of proposed budget appropriations and estimated revenues. From there, again, council is going to review the budget submitted, and public hearings will take place, as I mentioned, on Thursday, March 24th. Thursday, March 17th and March 24th. The CFO and auditor are going to finalize our revenue and tax levy cap projections as well. The CFO and auditor both conduct a review, make recommendation. We'll have some budget subcommittee meetings as well in the interim. The manager's budget to council in accordance with statutory guidelines must be submitted by February 26th. So I must submit what I'm presenting tonight by February 26th or the next regularly scheduled meeting, of course, which is this evening. So we're right on time. Council must introduce the budget by the revised statutory date of March 30th or at the next scheduled meeting, which is going to take place on April 5th, Tuesday, April 5th. The hearing and adoption of the 2022 budget must take place by the revised statutory date of April 30th or the next scheduled meeting, which takes place on May 17th. So we must adopt by May 17th. Next slide, Doug. Assumptions. Keep going. You got to keep up with me. There you go. The 2022 budget is dependent on several factors, and we noted and listed some of these key ones. Council's determination of the 2022 municipal budget appropriations, our fund balance, otherwise known as surplus, that's available for 2022. And then we have 2021 municipal revenue analysis and 2022 revenue anticipations. We include state aid allocations for 2022 and any special emergency financing for terminal leave. Next slide. This is appropriations versus revenues versus rate. A couple quick definitions for everyone. Appropriations can be defined as what the municipality intends to spend on operations. Revenues is defined as what the municipality earns through various fees and through the collection of taxes. The rate is defined as the amount of taxes to be raised divided by the net property valuation. And this covers the total value of all properties in the township of Teaneck. Simply stated, the tax rate is a percentage of your property value that you are taxed on by the township. And that's exactly where James Ty, our tax assessor, comes in. 2021 tax breakdown, Doug. This gives you an idea of the total property tax that equaled $168,925,237, 2021. It's important to note here on this slide, on this pie chart, you'll see a couple different things. You'll see the municipal levy, which accounts for a little bit over 54 million, and that's 32%. Of our budget. The total school levy is at 95,739,000. That accounts for 57%. And then you have some other small areas that include the county levy, which accounts for 9%. The library is at 1.3%. County open space at 0.4. The municipal open space levy is at 0.3. Again, it's important to note that the proposed budget refers to the municipal portion of your taxes only, not Board of Ed. All taxes are paid to and collected by the municipality's tax collection office. So we take everything in, and then taxes are forwarded to all taxing entities on a biweekly or quarterly basis. Just a quick tidbit. I believe we said this last year as well on tax breakdown comparison. Municipal was 38% in 1943. Currently, we're at 32% in 2021. Doug, next slide. I'm just going to cover a few of the larger known impacts on the 2022 budget. These are not all of them, but these are the main ones. There was an increase in police, fire, and public employee retirement system payments of 6.82%. And our premium with the public entity joint insurance fund increased by 5.73%. With the settlement of all 8 collective bargaining agreements, we have our yearly increases in contractual obligations to the employees. There was a 31.76% increase in our debt service, an increase in gasoline costs due to current world affairs by 50,000. So we upped that by 50,000 or 39.37%. I'm not sure what's going to happen here if we're going to produce any more oil domestically. But I think we're going to see oil prices at $5-6 a gallon sometime in April. Next slide, Doug. Further known impacts on the 2022 budget. We're budgeting this year $750,000 for terminal leave. We've outsourced crossing guard duty. We took that responsibility away from the police department so the police officers can be on the road and not at doing the school crossing guard posts. Outsourcing of building maintenance. I mentioned this with council. It's my goal to outsource building maintenance at the police department and at the municipal building. And we will be contracting for an outside vendor to conduct park and field maintenance that will significantly help us out. We're budgeting $250,000 for fire department holiday time. And this is ultimately going to reduce the cost of terminal leave payouts. This was negotiated by me with the FMBA about a year or two ago. It's good for them, it's good for the town, and it's going to significantly reduce payouts for terminal leave pay after 25 years of service with the town. We also have 2021 special emergency financing we have to take care of. Bergen County Utility Authority increase of 6.5%. Issa and I had discussed this originally, and we kind of padded it at 5%, thinking they were going to come in at 4.5%. But we found out, I guess it was about a week ago, they did their increase, and TNX rate increase was 6.5%. I believe we had to add another, I think it was $89,000 to our budget. Of course, inflation is at 7.9% as of February 2022, which is affecting everyone's budget. Next slide, Doug. So what we're looking at is a proposed tax rate increase. This is the money slide. So what we're looking at, and I think this is responsible, is a proposed tax increase of 1.7%. It allows us to maintain and in some areas increase the quality of services to the Teaneck residents. And I just want to take a minute to cover the estimated annual tax increase on an average home, which right now is assessed at $387,405. So there's going to be an increase in taxes in the amount of $69.20 per year, or $5.76 per month. So that's where we're at, 1.7%. And again, it's a $69.20 increase over the course of a year, or $5.76 a month. So you understand this. So your tax levy equals all budget appropriations minus the revenues. Although we do not expect a tax levy cap issue in 2022, it's always advisable, and you'll hear this from the order, to adopt a cap bank ordinance. The cap bank allows the municipality to have more room available in available appropriations, just in case of unanticipated increases above the cap. So next slide, Doug. So this is going to show, some of these slides are going to show how we arrived at the 1.7% tax rate increase. We're going to cancel $500,000 in tax appeal reserve that the CFO and I built up since 2019. We're also going to cancel $470,000 in old capital ordinances. And after careful review, we reduced the 2022 capital program by almost $3 million. We are also utilizing American Relief Plan funds to replace lost revenues. Next slide, Doug. There's a reduction of $563,000 in the 2022 operational expenses. Again, Issa and I went through this with a fine-tooth comb, and our operating expenses are not high. They're not significant. I have to commend the department heads for their due diligence and really keeping everything relatively flat. There wasn't much to cut. Our operation budgets are not fat. We're also utilizing $250,000 in Clean Communities grant funds to offset Public Works salaries, some of the salaries there. And I just wanted to note that the proposed budget includes continued funding for tree maintenance and planting. I mentioned $160,000 for maintenance, and we have plenty of money for tree plantings. You know, we planted well over 180 trees as part of the diversion program last year. And they are going to be maintained by Public Works for a period of 2 years, which is good. And we will replace trees on Penn Avenue as well. So we're in good shape. Next slide, Doug. Just a little bit about the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. It was $1.9 trillion dollars that was appropriated, and it provided TNEC with $4.216 million. So we received half of our 4.216 million in the summer, I believe it was the summer of 2021. And the other half is supposed to be dispersed in mid 2022. I anticipate sometime in June or July. These funds must be encumbered by December 31st, 2024 and expended by December 31st, 2026. And we can use these funds for revenue shortfalls due to the COVID-19 pandemic and for payment of the COVID-19 special emergency. So that's what they're there for. Final guidance, we received final guidance on the usage of ARP monies, and this was back on March 3rd, and we received that from the New Jersey Local Finance Board. Next slide, Doug. This covers future impact of the 1.7% tax increase. Again, this increase will allow the township to minimize the effect of the ARP funds that we're using in the 2022 budget, and it's going to further serve to stabilize the tax rate in future years. That's the importance of this tax increase. As mentioned in the previous slide, the increase is going to allow the township to maintain, if not increase, current services without any disruption. Next slide, Doug. And this is something we were recently made aware of, Senate Bill S-330. And I felt it was important to mention this bill, which would reinstate cuts to state aid that were made in 2008 over a 5-year period. So starting in 2023, if this goes through, municipalities could receive an aid increase equal to 20% of the difference between the distribution of state aid they received in fiscal year 2008 and fiscal year 2012. The bill will also fully restore state aid beginning fiscal year 2027 and in each year thereafter. So this is good news. The bill requires return revenue from the state to be utilized to offset tax increases. My understanding, that's the only thing it can be used for, is to offset tax increases. Doug, next slide. So this is the, I don't know why it's a little blurry there, budget appropriation categories, which total $76,788,198. It's a breakdown pie chart of where this is going. You can see salary and wages account for 46% overall, and that's $35.5 million. Other expenses, $23 million. That covers 30%. Statutory expenses, 13%. That's over $10 million. Or debt service, 5%. That's at $3.8 million. Capital improvement fund, it's really minimal. That's $290,000. Deferred charges, 2%, a little over $2 million. And the reserve for uncollected taxes, we have $1.7 million, or equivalent to 2%. Next slide, Doug. And this next slide, proposed salary and wages, breaks down the salary and wages for our workforce. Police account for 35% overall, and that's close to $12.5 million. Fire department is next at 30% at $10.5 million. DPW is at 4.6 or 13%, 14.6 million or 13%. Recreation is almost $2 million at 5%. And all the other ones are generally under 5% or 1%. And that totals, again, $35,543,289 in salaries. Next slide. So this next slide shows salary and wage increases required by a union contract. We have the police and fire who are under binding arbitration. That accounts for 59% of the overall salary budget. Under contract to the left is a little bit over 10 million. That includes AFSCME, Public Works, a couple contracts with Public Works, and the library. And then you have 12% of salary and wages, or a little bit over 4 million, account for our excluded employees, department heads, such as all the department heads that spoke this evening, their deputies as well, and there's a few other titles that fall under the excluded employee handbook. So that breaks down salary and wage increases that are required by union contract. Next slide, Doug. Again, this is another important slide. This has to deal with our collective bargaining agreements, and this is really the first time in that I could ever remember where all these contracts are settled. We're locked in for at least 3 years. Some are locked in for 5 years, which is good for the employees, which is good for us. It's going to allow us to do some further budgeting for 23, 24, what our anticipated expenses are going to be, because these contracts are all settled. And I just wanted to, thank the unions. They worked with me very closely on settling all their contracts. They were very fair. I think both sides were happy with the outcome. And, we have, I like to say, we have a good working relationship with our unions, and there's harmony. So, and that's one of the ways we were able to get all these contracts settled. Next slide, Doug. Again, salaries and wages, summary and recommendation 2022. This covers police. And again, police department makes up $12.4 million in salaries. The current table of organization provides 97 sworn officers. We went from 95 to 97, I believe it was in 2020. We currently have 89 officers. It's very difficult to reach the authorized strength due to the influx of retirements and a few people that have resigned. So yes, we're a little bit short-staffed. It's not impacting the chief's day-to-day operations there. That's why we have overtime, but it's getting far more difficult to fill all of these spots. We are going to fill 3 spots on or after April 1st through the alternate route program. I spoke in public about this. These are candidates that put themselves through a police academy, paid for it on their own, have their Police Training Commission certification. So we have 3 good candidates lined up. I'm just waiting for civil service to give the approval. They're reviewing everything. They made an exception during COVID that police agencies and civil service can hire alternate routes. We've pretty much exhausted the TNEC residency list. Civil service is not giving another test until sometime late summer or fall. And by the time that list comes out, it's going to be spring of 2023. So civil service is way behind. It's not TNEC's fault. We're doing our best to find candidates. We're thinking outside the box, looking for alternate route candidates. 2 of the 3 officers we had in the police academy in January resigned. And we've had a couple officers recently just really give us 2 to 3 weeks notice. So it's very difficult for us to prepare for retirement. So contrary to what people say, we're not holding back hirings. They're very difficult to do. There's 2 police academies a year, and it's a tedious process. So, we are filling these spots the best we can. Again, I anticipate 3 very soon through alternate route. We have 1 in the academy right now. He'll graduate in June. Again, the civil service exam is going to be given sometime late summer, early fall, but that will take 6 months for us to get the results. Then the police department will have to hustle to process the openings so we can get them into the July 2023 academy class. Next slide, Doug. So the next slide covers fire and the 2022 recommendations. The current table of organization provides for 91 firefighters. The current strength of 83 firefighters are in place now. We anticipate hiring 5 new firefighters on or about April 1st, which is good. It's a little bit different how their academies operate, so it's a lot easier getting people through very quickly. The Academy for Fire will hold classes anytime there are candidates. So We'll be hiring 5 on or about April 1st. The fire budget again accounts for a little bit over $10 million. Next is Public Works. Okay, so this covers the 2022 recommendations for Public Works. We're looking to fill 2 vacant laborer positions, and that's going to be contingent upon 2 retirements, 2 upcoming retirements. I believe one is in June and one I believe is in April. I'm looking to lower the table of organization to 57 authorized due to the anticipated outsourcing of building maintenance as well as park and field maintenance. So as I mentioned to council, the cost for a single laborer is about $55,000. You throw in $20,000 to $30,000 for healthcare, another $20,000 for pension contributions. That's $100,000. So there's going to be a couple positions that are going to be open that we're not going to fill because we're going to relinquish some of this work to the outside contractors. It'll be cheaper for us to do this, and it will certainly help Public Works to keep our fields looking pristine. As everyone knows, they're basically on a 10 to 12-day cutting cycle, especially during the spring. That's very difficult to maintain, especially with rain and bad weather. So having an outside contractor come in to take half the parks, to take at least half of the ball fields, to rake them, get them prepared for our youth, I think is going to be a great benefit to us and the people that use the facilities. And we're going to use $250,000 from the Clean Communities to offset some of the salaries at Public Works. Next slide, Doug. And this has to do with terminal leave trust. We are budgeting this year $750,000 for payouts to retirees rather than using the special emergency. This will be the first year, I think, since 2019. We're going to put 750 in there, and as of February 28th, as this slide shows, we've used approximately 445,000. We paid out to 4 individuals, and there's going to be several more retirements occurring later in 2022. So we've used really about, I guess, more than half of that, 60% of that $750,000 for payouts. Next slide, Doug. And this covers special emergency appropriations. You know, what are they? Per state statute 48-4-53, the usages include the preparation of tax maps, revaluations, codification of ordinances, preparation of the master plan, drainage maps and flood control, engineering, planning of sanitary sewer system, municipal consolidation, severance liabilities. I just spoke about terminal leave, preparation of sanitary storm sewer maps and tax appeal refunds. Doug, next slide. And this covers overtime. So what we did is we budgeted, you'll see in 2021, 500,000 for fire, 326 for DPW, police 600,000. We're keeping that flat. Unfortunately, with these 3 departments, due to storms, due to COVID, overtime, staffing, the Rota Center, special events, that unanticipated special events, we went above, and because of staffing as well, we went above the allocated amounts for overtime. I don't foresee that being as much of a problem in 2022. A lot of the time was spent for the police up at the Rota Center the first half of the year. And again, I don't anticipate having that much of an issue in 2022 with the amount allocated for overtime. Next slide, Doug. And this covers other expenses, and this shows the pie chart will show you where some of the money is going for appropriation for other expenses. And the biggest one is the department operating expenses, and that covers 36% or $8.2 million. The next highest, of course, is our utilities, and we're at 31% at $7,285,000. Group insurance for employees, that's $5.6 million or 24% of appropriations for other expenses. And there's a couple other ones, other insurance premiums, roughly $885,000, contributions to the self-insurance fund, which is really $1.25 million. So this covers appropriations for other expenses that we're responsible for. And the next slide is going to cover utilities and what we pay. And that you can see in the top left, $7,285,960. The brunt of it goes to Bergen County Utilities. That's 69% of that budget line. That's almost $5 million. Electric, is 8%, almost 590,000. And it breaks down, the pie chart breaks down some of the other expenses, natural gas, gasoline, diesel fuel, street lighting, telephone expenses. Again, that total for that utilities is 7.2+ million dollars. Next slide, Doug. Contributions to our self-insurance fund. We're going to maintain the 2021 appropriation funding, and this covers Title 59 tort claims, workers' compensation claims, proposed settlements to be funded. We're looking at the 1.25 million. Again, we're not gonna change that for 2022. We're generally right in that area. Next slide, Doug. And this covers other insurance premiums. Our PGIF premium increased 45,000. Even though that sounds like a lot, it is. I believe our municipality had the lowest increase of all the municipalities in the GIF because of our due diligence, workers' comp claims, safety records, things like that. So we received the lowest increase, but it's $45,000. Also covers auto liability and collision, employment practices, public officials, and facilities. So overall, we're paying $885,000 for other insurance premiums. The next slide, Doug, covers our debt service. So this is debt service, and we're paying out $3.8 million. The slide on the right shows highlights. Again, during the 2021 bond sale, Lisa, I believe, mentioned it earlier, the township financed $8.25 million at 1.19%, which is a great rate. Again, the most important thing, this is fixed for life for the term of the loan, which is 10 years. So we locked into a great rate, a 10-year rate. So the other thing is the Cedar Lane Special Improvement District loan has been paid off. It was paid off in 2021, but our overall debt service payment this year is $3.817 million. Next covers our statutory expenditures. I mentioned this before, that some of the major adjustments include PFRS, Police Fire Retirement System, that increased 9%, by $555,000. PERS increased 115,000 or 8%. The DCRP, which is the defined contribution retirement plan, excuse me, that increased by $20,000 or 100%. So the total line item for statutory expenditures increased 7.9% or $690,000. And really the increases are mainly due to the new increased life expectancy projections and a drop in long-term investments by the pension funds. So again, the total for this line item, statutory expenses, is over $10 million. Next is capital improvement, Doug. So the total cost of improvements for my capital budget is going to come in at $5.7 million, and that's going to require a 5% down payment or $290,000. As I mentioned, I made some significant cuts to the capital improvement fund to get it to where it's at. We're going to do the capital improvement fund review for March 24th. So that'll be scheduled for review on March 24th. Next slide, Doug. Next slide is the estimated revenue. If you look at the pie chart here, it gives you an idea what we have. Start out top left, delinquent taxes, 925,000, which is 1%. Our surplus is at $6.1 million or 8%. Local revenue, $4.4 million. State revenue, $3.3 million. And municipal levy, $57,887,000 for a total of $72,695,665. So that covers our estimated revenues. The next slide breaks it down a little bit better. You'll see your fees and permits from the building department, as Mr. Bacchino said. They took in 1.25 million, which is a nice number. Other fees and permits on the top right total 1.387 million. Court fines 450,000. Interest and costs on taxes 230,000. Rental of township property is in there. License alcoholic beverages 62,000. So this pie chart kind of breaks down our local revenue that we're taking in. Next slide, Doug, is the estimated state revenue. So this pie chart will show that 3,379,000 is the estimated state revenue. The energy receipts taxed a little bit over $3 million. The property tax relief aid, $79,000. So this is what we anticipate getting from the state, 3,379,000 and change. Next slide, Doug. And these are the factors that potentially going to impact the budget. Some of these I already mentioned, but we'll have to repeat here. Special emergencies such as terminal leave payouts, tax map, code recodification, Glum Point tax appeal, settlement payment of $800,000, Holy Name Medical Center tax appeal, impact of all tax appeals on the state and county level, interest rates, bond rating, flat state aid, and that's been flat again since 2008. Pension contribution increases, which I covered. We're looking for revenue from the new park mobile parking meter program. I believe we're going to implement sometime in April. As I mentioned, the BCUA increase of 6.5%. Workers' compensation and settlement claims have an impact on the budget. The slight increase in the joint insurance fund costs. Again, we're looking to outsource building maintenance, parks and fields. But again, there are going to be some positions that Public Works were not filling to make up for those costs. And there's an increase in the police off-duty administrative fees that should bring in a significant amount of money to the town as well. Next slide, Doug. So next slide is the budget wrap up. So the appropriations must match the revenue. The appropriations for the year are 72,695,665. The revenue, of course, has to match that. So that's 72,695,665. So that's where we're at for the 2022 budget. Doug, next slide. And some of these strategies, short and long term, we bullet out here. The credit card acceptance for court, which we mentioned, and other departments began in 2021. That's going to continue in 2022. The credit card reader, as Craig said, is already installed in the Violations Bureau. We're completing the migration of funds to newly contracted banking institutions. Pagoda Savings will be our primary. I'm engaged in negotiations right now. I had a meeting this morning with Hackensack officials for shared service agreement for fire dispatching, and that's going to happen. We're probably 6 to 8 months away from that. And the fire dispatching could also involve automatic aid, where if there is a structure fire, whether it's in Teaneck or Hackensack, because Hackensack will be dispatching for us. Again, there'll be a response from not only Hackensack, but from Teaneck as well. So if there's a structure fire in Hackensack, someone from Teaneck, a ladder truck will respond to Hackensack and vice versa. So you're getting more manpower, you're getting more equipment on any structure fire. And I think that's a good thing for the residents. Something else, strategy is the sale and development of selected municipally owned properties in town, enhance the ratables through business attraction and development, improved infrastructure to attract economic development. We're looking at the redevelopment of Alfred Avenue. That's taking place now. What's important to me is the pedestrian safety measures, traffic calming, additional crosswalks. We're going to be doing a lot more of that work in 2022. And again, there's continued planning and work on the new DPW facility. So that's moving forward as well. Doug, next slide. This is a continuation for short and long-term strategies. Park renovations, and this is going to include funding for a new Voti Park pool, road resurfacing. Since 2018, we've resurfaced 103 streets. 30 plus are planned in 2022. My only concern for 2022 is the cost of oil, which is going to increase the cost of asphalt. So I don't know if we'll be able to do 30 streets. Maybe it's down to 27 streets or 26 streets. There's a lot of unanswered questions right now, so we'll have to wait and see. There's going to be infrastructure improvements, parking lot improvements and repairs, additional electric charging stations and renovations to parking lots are completed. We did a lot of work already. We'll continue with PSE&G on the energy efficient improvements to our municipal buildings. We have the community choice aggregation project that's going on. As we mentioned, the implementation of spatial data logic department software, renovations to Teaneck Southern Little League, municipal building renovations, council chambers, the basement, the roof, the windows, all taking place. We're doing improvements to Station 4 as we speak. Doug, next slide. So the upcoming budget meeting, this is the tentative agenda. Thursday, March 17th, we're going to do a review of the police department budget, the fire department budget, public works, the legal budget, and some other various budget accounts, the minor ones if needed. And next slide. And after that will be Thursday, March 24th, and that's going to be a review of recreation, library, capital, manager, council, clerk, and any other remaining budgets necessary that we need to cover. Again, we'll mix in a few budget subcommittee meetings as well, and you'll have when everything is said and done, I think you'll have a responsible budget. Doug, next slide. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank several people for their cooperation with the 2022 budget process. Of course, council, I always appreciate your support, your input. It's much appreciated, although sometimes we may agree to disagree on some things. It's very well noted, and I appreciate that guidance and support. The auditor, Dan DeGangi, has always been great, to work with, and he's been a big help to the budget. And of course, as I mentioned, Issa, he put in countless hours, him and I, in the weekends to try to get this, to a point I was comfortable with, and that was responsible, that continued to maintain the services, in some cases improve the services for the township. And again, my department heads and assistant department heads, I'm only as good as the people I'm surrounded by, and without them, I can't do the good work of the town. And last not least is John. Again, we speak often. He gives me great advice, very helpful, and he's been a big asset for me at the town. Next slide, Doug. And that wraps up the 2022 proposed budget, Mayor.
Dean, on behalf of the council, I want to thank you. I want to thank Doug. I want to thank Issa, all your staff. Let them know we know how hard they work. We know how lucky we are. And obviously, looking at this budget and the things that you're able to do for us with limited resources, as most towns have, it's amazing the work that you guys do. So thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, I don't see anything else on the agenda. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So we'll see you soon. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Dean.
See you Tuesday. Thank you.
Everybody, be safe.
Be safe.
Enjoy
Thank you
the
so
start
much
of
to all of our
baseball.
department heads and Dean and everybody.